Be naive. I'm here to tell you to be naive. You should try to be more naive. Now, by naive, obviously, I don't mean that you should get duped by every scam out there, or you should believe in every charlatan trying to steal your money or something. But the dictionary definition of naive is a person who's natural and unaffected or innocent. Sort of like a kid. You need to be like that. Be more wide-eyed, be more childlike, and you need to believe that you can change things. Because guess what? You are changing things. If you're in a situation you don't like right now, and you're trying to forge ahead, and you're trying to create a career out of being a freelance translator, a career from nothing, you need to believe that you can change it. If you are in a job you don't like and you want to leave it so you can do something else, and you want to start off in freelancing, then you need to believe you can do it and that it can change. You need to believe that the world can change because you're changing your little piece of the world. And if you don't believe it, then it won't happen. The opposite of this is to be cynical, is to think that the game is always rigged, is to think that Mark Zuckerberg was, attained success because he paid off the government or something like that. To believe that, well, people are always scamming and so you can't believe it. Every video you see, yeah, well, that's fake. That's been photoshopped. That's being cynical. When you hear people who say this all the time and always have some sort of excuse like this for why they haven't done this or become that, then that means they're being cynical and they're being the opposite of naive. Here's an interesting exercise you could do. Think of people you know who are very, very successful and people you know who are not at all successful. And now see how much they complain. I might be wrong, but I think there'll be a direct correlation, a direct negative correlation between how successful someone is and how much they complain. Because let's face it, successful people, they don't really complain. If they don't like something, they don't like their boss, they don't like their situation, then they change it. Other people will complain they'll complain forever. They'll complain for the rest of their life and not change the situation. Which one of these do you want to be? Of course you want to be the person who can change their situation. You need to have that mentality. You can't have that defeatist mentality and think that the game is rigged, so why bother anyway? Because at that point, you've lost even before you start. Another way that this cynicism can manifest itself is when people say, that's obvious. Now you see this a lot with books or with, actually it can be with people giving advice or with speakers or anything like that. They'll see something, even it could be Warren Buffett explaining how he invests his money and makes his profits, and someone could say, well, that's obvious. You see this a lot with self-help books, business books, entrepreneurship, and stuff like that. And realize what you're saying when you say that's obvious. You're saying a couple things. First of all, that you understood it perfectly because it was obvious, so of course you understood it. B, you apply it because it's so obvious, so why wouldn't you apply it to yourself? It's like breathing, it's obvious. C, it works because you didn't say that's wrong, that's incorrect, it doesn't work. You said that's obvious, which means that, of course it is so, which means it works. So, if you have understood it and you apply it and it works, that means that you should have attained the success they talk about in the book, or that the speaker is talking about, or that the advice give. Here too, it could be an interesting exercise. Follow people who say that something is obvious and see how successful they've been in applying these obvious points from then on. Chances are not very. Saying something is obvious is another way of being cynical in this sense, because these are all just excuses not to go ahead. These are excuses not to change your life. These are excuses not to try something new, because if you say the game is rigged or it's obvious or anything along those lines, you're not going to follow that advice, which means nothing's going to change. But if you want something to change, you have to believe it can change, so stay naive. Always stay naive. If you found this useful at all, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you want more information about freelance translation or freelancing in general. This didn't have much to do with freelance translation per se, but there will be more videos having to do more with freelance translation in itself. And so, I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye. As they say here in Lugano, sabedum.